What's good? What's good, y'all? It's Friday night, a little after 9 p.m. Eastern Time. Another episode, NFL Gridiron Flex. We're about to get busy. So, a couple things to talk about happening in the world of sports today. A couple of contracts. So, Chris, I've kind of talked about them earlier, but you know, Nick Bosa's contract. It's great for defensive linemen. It'll probably change the trajectory of how guys get paid on the defensive line, right? But this Joe Burrow contract, 5 years, $275 million, 219 guaranteed, highest contract ever for any player, of course, quarterback. Just jumps over the one Justin Herbert got, what, a month ago or two, the one that Lamar Jackson got before that, and the one that Jalen Hurts got before that. So every one of these quarterback contracts seem to be the new big contract. Any thoughts on that?
Yeah, it's kind of what you said before. It changes the market, right? When a guy sees another guy get a big contract, they want even bigger. And so when Justin Herbert got that contract, I was not a fan. He did not deserve that big of a contract. He's still, in my opinion, he's a great quarterback. He's top 10 in this league, but he still has a lot to prove. With a guy like Joe Burrow, I understand why they give him a big contract because that's their franchise and they've invested in him. The only issue with that is his injury history. You know, he has this injury going on now. He had the injury from 2 seasons ago. He had an injury a year before that in college. So I'm worried about his long-term health, if he's going to be able to stay healthy to play out all his contract years. That's the only thing.
I can see that. I can see that. And then for the numbers on the Nick Bosa contract, it's 5 years, 170 million. I only really care about the guarantee, which is 122.5 million. So big guarantee amount too. There's a guy in Dallas, I'm sure, that's looking at this, salivating. And then the first call I'm sure he got was from one Chris Jones, gentleman from the Chiefs that's holding out. So I'm sure that those two guys were very, very pleased with the Nick Bosa contract and the numbers.
100%.
So we'll get here into some of the storylines from week one. Obviously, we might as well start with the game that we already had happen, and that's the Lions and the Chiefs. So when I look at this game, for me, it's really simple. Yeah, the Chiefs were missing players, but the Chiefs had opportunities and they didn't have the guys in place to make those plays. If you know that Travis Kelsey is your number one receiver, really, then it's your responsibility as an organization when you have a top quarterback in the league. Most people say the number one quarterback. I'd be one of those. I'm fine with that in the league, and you don't give him sufficient weapons at the wide receiver position. So to me, that's the difference between the game. I'm not going to take anything away from the Lions because they went out and scored 3 touchdowns on a Chiefs defense that didn't have, best player. He was sitting up in the box with his agents who look like mafia guys, eating popcorn and having a good time while watching his team lose because he's not out there. But I just simply look at this and I think to myself, man, Jared Goff really loves to play Pat Mahomes, right? 3-0 against Mahomes. He loves to play against him. And then I'm also thinking to myself, like, boy, got to do something about that run game in Kansas City because, man, Mahomes can't be your top runner every week. It only have 45 yards, so he's the top runner on the team. That's another concern. The Lions have two guys that can go out there and run the ball, and Goff looks really good in this offense. He looks comfortable. I mean, you got guys like Josh Reynolds, Amon-Ra St. Brown, so on and so forth. And then you got Jameson Williams, who's going to be coming back in 3 more weeks to make this team even more potent. So, man, I think the Lions are a pretty good team. I picked them to win their division, and I think I feel confident with their pick, at least right now. Your thoughts on the game?
Man, I love me some Jameson Williams. I'm so excited for when he gets on the field and gets going. He's going to be a special talent for sure. And
Yeah.
Jahmyr Gibbs, I mean, breaking tackles, first game as a rookie, like it was insane to me. How explosive he looked. You know, a lot of guys when they get to the NFL they slow down, but he did
Mm-hmm.
not slow down whatsoever. The whole Chris Jones thing really, really rubbed me the wrong way. That was a soft move for him to show up to the game and sit in the box. if you're gonna hold out, you shouldn't even come to the game. That's just my take on it. I think it's kind of disrespectful to the players on the field. I guess the real MVP of this game, though, was C.J. Gardner-Johnson on the defense. He really was a leader, and he gave them that energy that I feel like they've been missing. I like watching him on the sidelines, watching him interacting with the teammates, firing up the crowd. Like he was ready to go. I'm really really excited to see his future. One other thing I mentioned earlier in the chat is David Montgomery. He looked bigger. He looked stronger. He looked like an even better downhill runner. The Lions are going to be a team to mess with this year. Like, don't be surprised if the Lions pull a Bengals from a couple of years ago and make a long run.
Okay. Yeah, I like CJ Gardner-Johnson, guy was on the Eagles last year. Very familiar with him in a way that he likes to play. I love what I saw out of him. They definitely needed a guy to kind of bring in energy, that aggressiveness, that just I don't care attitude. I love to see it because it's definitely needed. It's just going to be interesting to see when they're playing against the guys that have everybody, right? And I'm not knocking again. I'm not using that to take away from them. I'm just saying it was easier to look good when some guys were missing, right? Mainly Travis Kelce, because I think the defense did enough, but a lot of drop balls there. I mean, we would be remiss if we didn't talk about Mr. Stonehands himself.
Man.
I just watched this dude, Kadarius Toney, just drop ball after ball, and I'm just sitting there thinking, wow, the Giants were really smart to get anything they could for this guy right now, because he's
last year,
not
remember how everyone was
what they
clowning?
wanted, and you should have kept.
Yeah, everyone was clowning them. They were like, "Oh, the Giants are so dumb.
Yeah.
I can't believe they traded this guy." And look at him. He showed the true colors last night.
Oh boy, he just reminds me of back in the day with Madden, when you could get the Madden cards and you get the card with the hands of stone cheats to make the guy never catch the ball. I feel like that's Kadarius Toney. And like I said, the Giants were smart enough to realize it early and say, "Hey man, we got to move on because this guy's not going to help us win." The Chiefs were a little arrogant in thinking they could bring that guy and put him with Mahomes, and all of a sudden he was going to catch the ball. Doesn't matter if a guy can put the ball directly in your hands, as we saw last night. If you can't catch, you can't catch. So, Kadarius Toney, man, you got a little work to do. You got to get in the lab. I don't know. You need to get some ping pong ball, not ping pong, but like some tennis balls and squeeze them, or you got to get you like an oversized football and squeeze it or whatever. But you got to get that ball in them hands. You got to catch it, man. You're paid to be an NFL receiver. You got to make a lot of those catches that you dropped last night. And I love to see the Chiefs lose because I'm an Eagles fan. And I'm still sour, but that was tough to watch as well. It was enjoyable and tough to watch at the same time.
Definitely, I agree.
Yep. So before we go on, I know I'm jumping around a little bit, but before we go on with the rest of the preview for the games, the storylines for the games, let's talk about our top 10 list. So let's go team by team. We'll start and let's talk about our top 10. So Chris, I'll let you start first with your number 10 team.
My number 10 team in 2023.
Or do you want me to start first?
Oh no, I'll go first. My number 10 team in 2023 are my New England Patriots at number 10.
All right, well, I'm going to go with the New Orleans Saints at number 10.
I can see.
All right, and who you have at number 9?
At number 9, it's a toss up. It's a hard one. I like the Chicago Bears. Number 9.
I'm going to go with the Jacksonville Jaguars and Mr. Sunshine himself at number 9.
Okay. All right.
I can.
Number 8.
Yeah.
Right outside the playoffs, I gotta go. This is gonna be really, really controversial, but I gotta go with the Las Vegas Raiders.
That's controversial, sir. That, sir, is a controversial pick. I gotta admit, I have them outside of the top 20. Probably outside of the top 25.
I'm very high on them.
it's just hard for me to be high on a team that doesn't play defense and has Jimmy Garoppolo at quarterback. It's just hard for me to do. But hey, man, you could see something I don't, right? You could.
Right.
And at number 8, I'm gonna go with the Baltimore Ravens. I think that new offense under Todd Monken is finally going to allow Lamar Jackson to be a more dual threat and not a running back that throws a little bit. I think that's going to be beneficial, especially now that he has weapons.
My number 8 team is going to be the Jacksonville Jaguars. At number 8.
But you at 7.
At 7 Jacksonville.
You picked the Raiders at 8, so you got Jacksonville at 7.
Yeah, Jacksonville at 7. That's what I meant to say.
Yeah, all good. All right, so for number 7, I have the Pittsburgh Steelers. It's hard to pick against the Steelers kind of being right there on the cusp of the playoffs. They seem to somehow find their way in that position or close to it every year. And TJ Watt's back, fully healthy. So I think right there on that cusp of being one of those teams that sneaks in, I'm gonna get them. I'm gonna get them there.
All right, at number 6, I have the Philadelphia Eagles.
Okay. At 6, I have the New York Jets. Their defense is going to be very good. It was last year, right? Robert Salah is going to spend a lot of time making sure it's good. They've got one of the best young QBs in Sauce Gardner, and you're going to take what they already have. You're going to add New England Patriots West. You got Aaron Rodgers, a lot of other guys that spent time with him, Lazard, Randall Cobb, right? So you've got guys that he wanted kind of milked into this. So I think that that's going to be a really good team, a team that definitely, in my opinion, makes the playoffs. So we'll see how that works out.
All right. At number 5, I
Yeah.
got the Detroit Lions.
Okay, so you're high on the Lions. Okay. I have the Buffalo Bills at 5. I know we had the game, and I'm sure the Lions will be higher on a lot of people's list. But I'm just kind of treating it, since we're doing it today, kind of like the game hasn't happened yet. But yeah, I've got the Detroit Bills. I mean, the Buffalo Bills at number 5.
At number 4, this is a hard one for me. And I know, obviously, the Lions just won. But I have to go with the Kansas City Chiefs at number 4. With Travis Kelce back, obviously.
I'm going to go with the San Francisco 49ers at 4.
So
I think Bosa's got his deal done, but yeah.
I like the 49ers so much, but it's just Brock Purdy. I'm scared. I'm scared for Brock this year. I really hope he proves me wrong, but I'm really scared.
Okay.
So my number 3 team in the NFL is the Pittsburgh Steelers. I'm super high on the Pittsburgh Steelers. I love Kenny Pickett. I love George Pickens. Watch out.
Okay. Well, my number 3 team, I'm going with the Cincinnati Bengals. Best wide receiver trio in the NFL. Definitely some questions at on offensive line. They've been working to improve it. Hopefully, Joe Burrow's calf will be close to, if not 100%. So I'm going to go with them at number 3.
And number 2, I got to think about this one. New York Jets at number 2.
All right, I'm going to Philadelphia Eagles at number 2. I look for Hurts to have another MVP caliber season. 2 new coordinators in Philly, but they're both, I think, upgrades over the guys that were there before them. And looking to be back-to-back NFC East champs. And there's only one team I feel like, as of now, I would put above them. And I'll talk about them in a minute.
My number 1 team in the NFL, again, is going to shock a ton of people. But I am even more high on this offense than you are because he's my fantasy quarterback. And I just have seen him grow and grow and grow. I've been watching him since college. And I love Todd Monken and what he did in Georgia. Lamar Jackson and the Baltimore Ravens are going to win the Super Bowl. Number 1 team in the NFL.
So my number 1 team in the NFL is not going to win the Super Bowl because my number 2 team in the NFL is going to win the Super Bowl. But they're getting number 1 because they play in the AFC. They're going to have a little bit of a tougher schedule. And even though they caught an L on Thursday night, I don't think that's going to really hurt them just because of the simple fact we know that they lost because they didn't have Kelsey. If they fall, it won't be far. But as of now, I have the Kansas City Chiefs as still number 1 team in the NFL. See how I feel about it next week after I've seen everybody play. But yeah, I still have them as number 1. They won't win the Super Bowl, though, because you don't have to be ranked number 1 with the Super Bowl. You have to go through the playoffs and win. And I have, of course, second time ever, first time in quite a long time, the Philadelphia Eagles repeating as NFC champs. And this time getting to the Super Bowl, and whoever is on the other side getting the work this year. So, obviously a little bit difference in our list. Chris has quite a few guys, teams I don't have, and I have some teams he doesn't have. But hey, that's the thing. What's the fun if everybody has the same list?
For sure.
All right, so we'll move back to the NFL. And we'll look at the rest of the week 1 schedule and some of the storylines. I mean, you want to talk about who you think will win as well as fine. But for me, I'm more looking at the storylines for the games. So the first one is the Bengals and Browns. For me, you're thinking about the Bengals. You're saying, okay, is Joe Burrow's calf healthy? Can the line sustain for him because he's not going to be as mobile as he would normally be? And will he finish the game? I do have him in at least 1 fantasy league. So I'm hoping he does finish the game and have a good week. But that will be something interesting to watch. And also in that same game, Deshaun Watson. Are we going to get the Deshaun Watson from the Texans or the Deshaun Watson from last year? The answer to that question to me is really neither one. But it'll be a lot more towards the Deshaun Watson from the Texans, because he has this off season. He got those games in and knocked the rust off last year. He's been able to participate and be with the team the entire off season, work at his craft, spend time with the team, the players, and all those things that he wasn't able to do with the suspension for a portion of the year last year. So I'm looking at a bounce back year from him. So that's the 2 things that I'm looking for, or kind of looking at storyline wise in that game. Chris, if you feel like giving your picks, feel free to do so. And then any other storylines you might be having from that Bengals-Browns game.
It's what you said about Deshaun Watson. He has a full off season to kind of get all that legal stuff in the background. One thing I've noticed about Deshaun is he's been off social media a lot, kind of limiting the distractions in the lab, and I love to see that from him. One player in particular I'm really excited to watch is my favorite tight end in the NFL, David Njoku. I love David Njoku. I cannot wait to see. I hope he has a bounce back game or bounce back year per se from last year, even though he was pretty consistent last year. The biggest storyline though going into this game is Jamar Chase and Myles Garrett. Jamar Chase made some comments about the Browns earlier today. Cleveland is always going to be Cleveland. And then he made a comment about Elves. Myles Garrett fired back. Watch for those 2 to go after it. For sure.
So that could definitely be interesting. So we'll move on to the Texans and the Ravens. So this is, I got to tell you, Chris, when I was looking at the games earlier, like deciding what I wanted to kind of look at as my topics, I'm like, man, they're giving you a lot of good stuff in these matchups. So you got, to me, the best quarterback in the draft is C.J. Stroud. How does he come out week 1 against this Ravens defense, who's going to be focused on welcoming him to the NFL in the best way possible. Um, and then for the Ravens, got a new coordinator. You mentioned him earlier for the offense. Hopefully, he allows Lamar Jackson to evolve. I felt like Lamar was kind of stuck. I saw him wanting to do some things differently. I saw him looking at reads, but kind of being stuck in a system where there were certain things he needed to do. So hopefully he gets the chance to show people starting week one. And of course, this will be something that'll be multiple weeks for both of these guys. But hopefully he gets a chance week one to start showing people like, hey, the system only accounted or allowed me to do so much to work within that system that we had. But now that I have, OPJ, and that I have Zay Flowers and different guys there, and some of those guys I was looking at being ones and twos are now threes and fours, hopefully he gets the opportunity, and of course, along with Mark Andrews, to really spread the ball around, use his legs less on a regular basis, and use his arm more, and truly show us that he's that dual threat quarterback.
I agree with all your storylines. One or two more things I would add is the return of Odell Beckham Jr. OBJ is my entire childhood, and I am very, very excited to watch him back at full health. And I really, really hope. I don't know how long OBJ has left in the tank. I really don't. Sometimes I want to say he has, 4 to 5 years left, and then other times I'm like, maybe this is his last year. I promise you, OBJ will not be like Julio Jones. He will not go out like Julio did. He will be able to stay in there, and he'll be able to finish with a solid season. Another receiver on another team who I'm really, really hyped for is Tank Dell. I love Tank Dell. I think he was a great college receiver at Houston. Last Chance U receiver too from the TV show. Super talented, really, really aggressive. I love how he gets to the ball. I'm excited to watch what he does. CJ Stroud is going to have a tough time, though. First game starting. I personally think they started him too soon. I thought they should have did Davis Mills the first couple of games, but I understand why they threw him in. I'm interested to see how Todd Monken does against D'Amico Ryan's defense. That's the main storyline for me.
Fair enough. Yeah, I'm trying to make sure that I don't take all the storylines right, so you do have some things to discuss. Another interesting storyline for games is the Buccaneers and Vikings. So my year-long storyline for the Buccaneers is going to be: are they going to be pick 2 or are they going to be pick 3 in the NFL draft next year? I believe this Bucs team is going to really take a step back, a huge step back. It's time to pay the piper for pushing everything down the line to kind of keep that Super Bowl caliber roster intact until last year when it really wasn't anymore. Don't blame them at all for doing so, because that's the smart thing to do. You have the team there, you have it playing well, you kind of just roll it the rest of the way out. But it's over. So are they going to be 2 or are they going to be 3? I know who's going to be 1, but are they going to be better than the Colts or a little worse than the Colts? Quarterback race is on, so we'll see how that plays out. But I mean, you got Baker Mayfield starting, so you're definitely putting yourself in a position to have a high draft pick next year. And for the Minnesota Vikings, I'm going to stay with the quarterback position. Is Kirk Cousins the present and the future of that team now, or has the team come to a point where it's time to go with another guy, a younger guy that can be built up, maybe a guy from the draft, maybe a guy that you trade for, maybe a guy that's not necessarily wanted by another team, but you feel like his strengths can play into the system to move forward with Addison, Justin Jefferson, and this new look offense. So my thing is basically one team. What are you going to be for the season? How low in the draft? Or how high are you going to be picking in the draft? And the other team is it time to move on from who I always call, and some people get offended, but it is what it is, the white Dak Prescott and Kirk Cousins, or is it time to continue to just be mediocre in the playoffs and then be okay some seasons and not so good other seasons? So those are my 2 storylines for those 2 teams.
My number one storyline for this game is Baker Mayfield. This is a career-defining year for him. He's going broke on and off the field. You see what he has going on. His family stealing money from him. He's on a 1-year, $4 million contract. Like, he's really living paycheck to paycheck in the NFL. So I'm very, very interested to see if this is the year where he breaks out. Or, quite honestly, if he doesn't prove it this year and he goes out and, be the Baker Mayfield we've seen him be, he might not be in the NFL in a couple of years, in 1 to 2 years. But I do believe in Baker. He has over 100 NFL career touchdowns. When I heard him and Kyle Trask were, quote unquote, competing for a starting job, Kyle Trask did nothing in the NFL. Baker Mayfield has. So there was no competition there, and I want Baker to go out and prove everyone wrong. So, running back. The running back for Tampa, Rashid White, I think his name is.
Mm-hmm.
He's one of my breakout candidates. This year.
Well, I bet Alexander Madison is not one of your breakout candidates.
No, not at all.
Yeah.
Not at all.
Yep. Another reason why it might be time to move on from Kirk Cousins. But so this next one is really juicy. Okay. We got the Carolina Panthers and the Atlanta Falcons. So I'm going to stick to quarterbacks here, right? I'm going to make this very simple. Is Bryce Young going to finish this game as the quarterback? Is he going to be able to withstand an entire NFL game with the relentless pressure that Atlanta, one of the better defenses, I think, in this league this year, especially with all the additions that they made in the offseason? Is he going to be able to withstand this? And this is going to be a week-long question. Like, literally, I'm not going to say it every week, but this could be a question every week for the remainder of the season if he's healthy the whole season. He's a smaller frame guy, so taking hits is going to have more of an effect on him than a guy with a bigger frame. Also, going to have some issues because he is on the shorter side with maybe seeing over the line all the time. He may have to be one of those guys that kind of has to move and shuffle to find windows to make the throws in. That could be a bad omen as well when your line is not very good. And then with the Falcons, is Desmond Ridder an NFL quarterback? And I know there are a lot of people that believe in Desmond Ridder. You wouldn't find no belief in Desmond Ridder here. He can go out and prove me wrong. That's fine. I'd be more than happy if he did. But what I saw from him last year was, we don't think this kid has it. So we're just going to be extremely overly safe and ensure that he's in a position where he can be safe and he only needs to throw the ball very minimal times. That tells me you really don't believe in this kid, but you've invested draft capital in him. So there you're going to give him the opportunity, because the guy that was playing in front of him, I'm not even going to get started on that because we only have so much time for this show.
Bryce Young is not him whatsoever. He's the opposite of him. I am not high on Bryce Young at all. I would never say that about any player as much as Bryce Young. I understand why they drafted him number 1 overall, but no, watch him really struggle in the NFL. My 2 breakout candidates are both on the Atlanta Falcons. Matt Collins, I'm excited to see how Matt does, because at the end of last season, Matt Collins was doing great. He was being more consistent. He was, flourishing in that role. I'm excited to see what he does this year. My second candidate is Bijan Robinson. I've heard all this talk about Bijan. We got our boy LaCedric Green talking about how Bijan is going to be one of the best fantasy running backs. Bijan has a huge fumble problem at Texas. He fumbled the ball almost every other game. He would run for 200 yards, but he would fumble. And the fumble would cost Texas the game at the worst possible times. So I'm excited to see, can Bijan really... Ball security is everything in any level of football, especially the NFL. So will he be able to stand that test?
Yeah, that's a very good point, actually. It's a very good point. With the Cardinals and the Commanders, my question for the Cardinals is, does Jonathan Gannon make it through the season as the head coach? And can they win more than one game? For the Commanders, will Eric Bieniemy unlock Sam Howell, and will Ron Rivera not hate on Bieniemy long enough for him to do his job properly? Are my storylines.
Ron Rivera is a control freak. I mean, he's always been a control freak. Even with Cam Newton, like, he wants to be in charge. And I'm not really sure how that's going to work with Eric Bieniemy. You know, Eric needs, like you said, he needs to be able to do his thing. He needs to let the leash loose. I love Sam Howell. I really do. I'm really excited for what he's capable of. I've seen talent. Talent is insane. The arm upside, the run, you know, his rushing attack, like, he can do it. The big storyline in this game for me is a surprising player, Joshua Dobbs. You know, Josh Dobbs last year at the end with Tennessee, he played all right. You know, he made some pretty good throws. He definitely has arm strength. That was a big thing coming out of Tennessee. But his decision making and Joshua Dobbs is incapable of throwing a fade route whatsoever. So I'm hoping that he can throw a better back shoulder ball. He can give his receivers more chances to make plays. The receiving core in Arizona is questionable, right? Who do you got? Marquise Brown, Rondell Moore, and other than that, I mean, that's all you got. You don't got much. So
And you got, of course, you got Zach Ertz at tight end. Yeah.
But their defense is horrendous. That defense is going to be one of the worst defenses we've seen in a long time in the NFL, for sure.
Yep. And like I said, will they win more than one game? That's why that's my thing. Will they win more than one game? Next, we'll go to the Jaguars and the Colts. For the Jaguars, can Doug Peterson repeat the success with Trevor Lawrence from last year and improve upon it? Can they be the number one team in the division again? And are they going to be able to continue to develop Etienne as well as continue to have that defense play pretty well for them? And then for the Colts, are you going to be the number 2 team or the number 3 team in the draft? And are you going to be looking for another quarterback? Or are you going to be looking to trade that pick for a multitude of players to put around your quarterback?
Anthony Richardson, when he was at Florida, had no worldly idea where he was throwing the football at all.
Horrible.
At all. His accuracy was some of the worst I've ever seen. I went back, I watched the film the other day. Like, it's bad. It's really bad. Like,
reading defense is worse.
There's off-platform throws. He throws off one foot. He doesn't, like, there's no way he's not putting the ball anywhere. He just throws it up, and if the receiver makes the play, they make the play. I love his physical talent. He's physically so gifted. He reminds me so much of Cam. He's honestly a faster version of Cam, physically. But that doesn't mean it'll translate into his football IQ. You know, studying 8 hours in the film room, I really appreciate that. I think that shows that he wants it and he's working hard for it. And frankly, I hope he goes and gets it. The one thing that kind of concerns me, though, is I read a report yesterday from ESPN that says after he studies film, the Colts give him 2 hours to go work on his rap music. That kind of concerned me a little bit. I was like, I hope that's not true, because you're a rookie quarterback, man. Like, you can't be doing rap on the side. Like, that you just can't. Not in the NFL. You know, I mean, you just can't. Unless you're a proven player. And then, obviously, Jonathan Taylor being gone, those running backs are going to have to step up and play a crucial role. And then I'm really excited to see Calvin Ridley come back in the fold, too, for sure.
Oh, yeah. Calvin Ridley's going to be really juicy. So we've got next the 49ers and Steelers. So my storylines for them. For the Steelers, I'm just going to say, are they going to be able to, again, be a 500 or better team? Obviously, a tie could still get you 8-1, where you'd be 500, right? And for the 49ers, is Brock Purdy really that guy? or did he kind of come along and catch people because he was unknown? Right? You've had an off season. Defensive coordinators have had an opportunity to really watch a lot of game film on him, figure out what he likes to do, what you want to try to force him to do. Is that arm going to be 100% starting off as well? But for me, for the 49ers, it's what will we get from Brock Purdy? Because you got rid of Trey Lance, which means if Brock Purdy's not that guy, or if he gets injured or has to miss time, you're now going to be relying on Sam Darnold. And yeah, you don't want to have to do that as Panthers fans or many other teams, including the Jets. You don't want to have to do that.
It's Brock Purdy. It's going to be a hard game. I got the Steelers winning this game right off the bat. I think it's a crazy environment down there that they're not ready for. I think it's going to come down to, is Kenny Pickett really the long-term franchise option? He started off horribly, like horrifically bad, but he just kept improving and improving, and it was kind of going under the radar. His improvement was kind of going under the radar. But I'm really excited. What is Kenny Pickett capable of? What is he going to do? How is he going to break out? We have a lot of those, questionable plays this year in the NFL. What are they going to do? Are they really it? Brock Purdy's another one. Is he really it? Or is it just, was Kyle Shanahan able to make him look good for so long? And like you said, were they able to finally figure him out? I don't know. I know that Brock, he's someone who takes football very seriously. His IQ he's at a very, very high IQ, which is going to help him in the long run. But it's going to be interesting. I'm interested to see. My one player that I want to highlight in this game is George Pickens. Will George Pickens be able to step up and be the leading receiver, not only on the Steelers this game, but on both teams in this game?
Okay. All right. So next, of course, we're going to move on to the Titans and Saints. So for the Titans, for me, how long are you going to allow Will Levis to take reps from Malik Willis? How long are you going to deny that Malik Willis looks like a much improved quarterback and Will Levis looks like he should still be in college? We know Tannehill is not clearly the long-term answer. He may be the guy for this year, maybe next year. But when are you going to actually look at the talent that you're seeing, the progressions that you've made, and go ahead and give Will Levis the position he deserves, which is third string quarterback, and give Malik Willis the position he deserves, second string, and then Will Levis third string? Because there has been no positive reports I've heard on Will Levis. None. And then for the Saints, are you going to step up and take the NFC South? You've got the best quarterback, I believe, in the division this year in Derek Carr. He's with the best defense he's had throughout his career. He's definitely transformed himself into a guy who should be able to take hits and, run a few people over if he needs to. So are you going to be able to step up and grab that brass ring that's hanging in front of you and beat a team in that division? Those are my questions for those two teams.
It's crazy, the NFL draft talent evaluation process that we live in, where a guy video can go viral on Twitter and all of a sudden they're so good. That's what happened to Will Levis. He made one great throw in his backyard, not on the field, in his backyard. And they're like, oh my God, his accuracy is insane. Like, he's incredible. The arm talent. I'm like, any quarterback can do that. Will Levis, nothing special. He's average, if not below average. I'm not high on him at all. Malik Willis is another one of those guys where he's inaccurate, but I do think he's improved. He's a runner too, so you get that option with him. It's going to be interesting. I think the spread right now for it is +3.5. I like that. I think the Titans will definitely cover it. Derrick Henry, people forget about Derrick Henry. Like, this has to be a bounce back year for Derrick Henry. So he's my one player I'm highlighting in this game. And Chris Olave, too. Chris Olave, for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, I think we're going to see definitely Chris Olave continue to do what he does. We have the Raiders and the Broncos. So for the Raiders, they're another team, depending on how Jimmy Garoppolo performs, they might slide into that battle for a top 2 spot. Are they going to be a team that can win games and overcome Josh McDaniels? Or is he going to continue to make his mark on the Raiders? And in the Broncos, is Russell Wilson going to be able to get back on track with Sean Payton and be the guy that we saw all those years in Seattle? Or is the Russell Wilson we saw last year more of who Russell Wilson is at this point in his career?
Well, first off, I got the Raiders winning this game outright. That pass rush is going to dominate him. They're not ready. And I can't switch up on you. I gave you my Raiders top 10, so I can't, be saying that whatever. Nah, Raiders are going to win this game. I feel confident in that. I'm really excited. My one player that I'm highlighting this game is Josh Jacobs. I'm really excited to see how he, after getting big contracts, when players get big contracts, they have big games. So I'm really excited to see what Josh Jacobs can do. Russell Wilson in this new look offense, like you said, it's going to be interesting. I mean, Sean, we're going to find out how real of a coach Sean Payton is. Because I know he's a damn good coach. But he had Drew Brees. So let's see how good Russell Wilson really is.
Okay. And then for the Eagles and Patriots. So for the Eagles, my question is, can they have another relatively healthy year? Are they going to be able to keep the key pieces needed healthy throughout the season? Marcus Mariota is the backup quarterback, so if there's a situation where the starter's going to miss some time, then unfortunately Marcus Mariota would be the guy that would be the backup. So can that work out is one question I definitely have. And then also the Patriots, is Mac and Cheese really that guy? Is he really an NFL caliber quarterback that can help a team win, or is he really just a borderline backup starter who needs to be replaced or usurped by someone that has a better skill set and that can really unlock this Patriots? And I use unlock in quotations in case you guys didn't catch it. Offense. So that's my two questions for the Eagles and Patriots.
My question is Bill O'Brien. Is Bill O'Brien going to be able to unlock Mac to his full potential? Mac is him. I can confirm that Mac is him. Mac is a great quarterback. And
yeah, I definitely don't think you confirm that the way he's played over his Patriots career. I don't see how you could confirm that, sir.
Not yet. You haven't seen the best of him. Trust me. Matt Jones is a special player. I believe in Matt Jones. He's one hell of a talent. You'll see. It. And the receivers they got down there too. Kendrick Bourne. I'm high on Kendrick Bourne. I love Kendrick Bourne. I think he's a really, really special talent. Last year he didn't play because of politics. Now there's no politics involved. They're going to play the best players, and he's going to be on the field. The one player I want to highlight is Ezekiel Elliott. Is Ezekiel Elliott going to be back, or is he going to be out of the NFL like Le'Veon Bell? Very interested to see that.
So, you mean Kendrick Street Clothes Bourne, who has some issues with staying healthy and available? I have a different take on Mac Jones from you, but that's okay. Matt can prove one of us right and one of us wrong this year.
Oh yeah,
I strongly believe it's going to be me that he proves right, but we will see how it plays out.
If you're right, bro, I'll come on here and I'll apologize. So that
you don't have to apologize, man. You don't have to apologize for believing in Mac Jones. He's tricked a lot of people. He's tricked the whole Patriots organization. So you don't have to apologize if he's wrong.
No, he's really him. Trust me. I'm so high. I know last year he wasn't great, but this year it's gonna show. It's gonna show.
We will see. All right, for the Rams and Seahawks, my question for the Rams are they going to acknowledge that they really are in a rebuild and just go ahead and try to get what they can from the players they have left that are suitable for other teams, or are they going to not see the signs and believe that they're going to be better than they are because now they have Stafford back and they had a really good year the last time Stafford played, even though some of that talent is now gone. For the Seahawks, will Geno Smith right back this year? Or will he continue to saw what was written about him but not right back? That's my real thing. The Seahawks defense, they're going to find a way. Whoever they have running the ball, they're going to find a way, whether it's Charbonnet or Kenneth Walker, whoever. I think the question is Geno Smith. If the Geno Smith that we saw last year is who Geno Smith is now, or if that was just a one-year fluke. I'd like for it to not be a fluke and for him to, continue to be a better player because I felt coming out of West Virginia, he was a really good guy, had some skill set, but just ended up in some bad situations. And now he's got a chance to kind of right those wrongs.
Geno is going to break the Rams' jaw. I'm so confident about the Rams. I used to think that before the season, I'll rephrase that. I was so confident about them. I felt so good about them. I was like, their offense is going to be insane. Matthew Stafford, whatever. But then I started reading reports about Matthew Stafford. And my opinion on Matthew Stafford had changed. And Matthew Stafford is not him at all. Like, he's not. He's, like, he gets way too much hype. That whole team gets way too much hype. I love how people think Stetson Bennett can come in and be an NFL quarterback one day. That's laughable to me. That's really, really laughable. With his age, no. Geno Smith.
And I would take Mac Jones over Stetson Bennett any day.
For sure. I agree with that. But Geno Smith with JSN added in, my main thing is I'm excited. Can JSN stay healthy? And can he play a full game healthy? And can he show the world what I always knew about JSN?
Okay. Yeah, I like him. I thought he was a guy that I wouldn't have been upset if the Eagles took. But then when I realized what we were focusing on in this draft, I was like, well, I wouldn't be upset about another receiver because I do think we need another one. But yeah, after what we drafted, I kind of had a pivot on how I felt about everything. But still think JSN is definitely a really good player, and that he's going to earn a good spot on that team for years to come. So then we're going to move to the Dolphins and the Chargers. So the Dolphins, lots of questions regarding Tua Tagovailoa. Is Tua Tagovailoa going to be able to stay healthy for this season? I think if he does, we have a team that's going to at least be in the AFC Championship game. Because this team is very good. And remember, Jalen Ramsey is going to be coming back sometime in December. It'll take a little time to work himself back into game shape, but he'll be a pivotal piece for this team. With the Chargers, is this their last run as currently constructed, starting with the coaching staff, some of the players? Are there going to be moves that need to be made if this team cannot finally win a playoff game?
For the Chargers, it's going to surprise people, but easily the cockiest man on the face of the earth, J.C. Jackson. I am very, very interested to see him come back this season, and if he's going to get burnt, if he's going to get exposed and show the real corner he is. And he's going to be going one-on-one with Jalen Waddle. So it's going to be a long game for J.C. Jackson for sure. Quentin Johnson is another one I'm really excited for. I heard he's not going to play too much. They already got the receiving core solidified, but he'll be the 4, maybe the tail end 3, but it depends. I hope he gets in there. I'm interested to see, he's a playmaker. He's explosive, so what he can do. I got the Dolphins winning this game. I think Tua is going to come back. He played really well. Tua played really well up until he got hurt. And then after, but I'm interested, can Tua get back to that level? That's my main question.
All right, and then we've got the Packers and the Bears. For the Packers, is Jordan Love that guy? Should Jordan Love be the guy? Or is this just, we drafted him, we spent the draft capital, so we want to be right? Right? Is he going to be a guy that's going to be able to help this team actually win in the future? Is he going to be a guy that can come in and keep that lineage of Brett Favre, Aaron Rodgers, and then Jordan Love? That's my question. It'll take probably multiple seasons to get an answer, but that's my question. My other question for the Bears is, have they put the right pieces in place to optimize Justin Fields? Justin Fields, I think, is a talented quarterback. It should be a San Francisco 49er, but they botched that so many ways. Or a New York Jet. He should not have been available to be picked by the Bears, even though they had to trade up to get him. So are they going to actually finally put the pieces around him to really unlock him? So those are my two things, basically both quarterback related, both young quarterbacks. One's had a year to start, but ran for his life. He had probably over 1,000 yards rushing, not because he wanted to, but because if he didn't, he would have been destroyed. And the other guy kind of taking over for a legend, not having as many weapons as he could, not having the best offensive line, but is he that guy?
Honestly, same thing as you. This game is a toss-up, but Justin Fields is my MVP candidate this year. He's actually my MVP pick, to be honest. He's gonna do some great things running the ball. DJ Moore gonna take the leap and be a top 5 receiver in the NFL? That's my number one question.
I'm gonna say no, and I'm not gonna say no because of talent. I'm gonna say no because I think this is going to be a run-first offense and a lot of RPO, or at least some RPO. And Fields is going to have to take the reads that come quick, because I think though the line is better, it's not going to hold up against some of the better lines in the league. And he's going to be forced to be more of that, let's move the ball, let's be patient, let's take what we get off that first read. And I think that's going to hinder some of the receivers being as good as they could be. But I think he'll be the best receiver on this team. DJ Moore will be. And I think he'll be the go-to guy when he's open and Fields can get him the ball.
Definitely.
All right, so we're down to our last two games here, Chris. So we've got the Cowboys and the Giants. So for the Cowboys, are they going to get to the NFC Championship game? That's the Super Bowl. But can they finally get to the NFC Championship game? Can they win 2 playoff games in a row? My original question was going to be, is it their year? But then I do know some quality Cowboys fans, so I decided to not go that route and to actually ask a serious question. And then for the Giants, are you going to be able to mold those young receivers and get them on the same page with Danny Pennies in enough time to have this season have meaning for you and live up to the expectations that you had from how well you were last season?
Darren Waller. That's all I gotta say. Darren Waller. Is he going to be the same Darren Waller that he was with the Las Vegas Raiders? Is he going to be even better? I don't want to say he has an upgrade at quarterback, because that's a really, really controversial thing to say. That I don't even want to get into that territory, but it's going to be really interesting. Can the Giants recover? Like you said, can they recover? That was a tough loss they took in the playoffs. Cowboys, I want to see this team go far. I seriously do want to see Jerry get his 1 Super Bowl. I know you probably don't want me to say that, but trust me, I really want to see Jerry Jones get 1 more Super Bowl. I just think that's a team that, like you said, they have the talent to go all the way. I don't think they will, though. I don't think they can win 2 playoff games. Not with Mike McCarthy. Not with him as head coach. No way.
It'll be tough. It'll be tough. And in our last game of the week, Monday night matchup, we've got the Buffalo Bills and the New York Jets. So for the Buffalo Bills, my question is very simply this: can Josh Allen progress to the guy who makes the pass first and uses his legs second? Can he have a good year without Brian Daboll as his offensive coordinator? Can he have a really solid year? That's my questions for him. For the Jets, will Aaron Rodgers be able to get them to the playoffs and at least one win? Will he be the difference maker for this team, or will he not? I think he will be, but will he? Will he really be the guy who can take them further than they have been in the last, what, 2 decades?
My big question is, can Garrett Wilson get to that level? Can he get to that, the highest level possible? And that's a big question for me. I know Aaron is going to be going. Garrett Wilson is Aaron's new Devontae. So that I can see Aaron going to him a lot in critical situations. The tight end game is going to be interesting. I'm interested to see how Aaron works with the tight ends. Dalvin Cook, Brees Hall. There's so many things I'm excited about with the Jets team. If this Jets team is not good this year, they will never be good. This is a defining year for their franchise, for their entire franchise. That's how big of a year it is for them. I think at the end of the day, I think the Jets are going to pull this one out on Monday Night Football.
Okay. Some strong takes here from Chris. I like it. Right. I don't necessarily agree with all of them for sure, but I like the kahunas, to make those statements and stand by them. So fair enough. So Chris, any last words? Any places where the people can find you?
Yeah, no, I mean, I have content dropping on Shady Sports YouTube Live. I think a big question, my betting article dropped. I'm kind of an underage gambler myself, but there's a lot. It's too hard to pass up. When you have the opportunity to win money, you can win a lot of money this year on the NFL with my picks. I'm gonna go very close to undefeated, and I will eat crow if I'm not gonna go undefeated. But I'm very confident in my picks. I did a lot of research, a lot of lines. The lines are great. Week 1 lines are the best. Best time to take them. Vegas has no idea what they're doing, so just stay woke and stay ready. Sure.
Yeah, I managed to message Chris after the show.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yep.
All right, so you can find me several places tomorrow night. Going to be on the NFC Beast as we will be returning for season 2. We have a major change on the roster, but it won't change anything about the show. Good guy joining. If you tune in tomorrow and check out the show, you'll see what I'm talking about. Monday, 6:30 p.m. Shady Sports Network, as well as on Play Caller Sports Talk. Monarchs of Wrestling. We're talking all things AEW, WWE. We might sneak and slide in like a little Impact or NWA or New Japan every once in a while. Just all depends on what's happening for the week. Tuesday nights, NFL Matchup Madness. Play Callers, sportstalk.com/live. We're covering some of our matchups, the primetime ones live. For all the other ones, we're having our content creators that are just in the show give us videos. We're uploading those to playlists that we will give you the link for during the show. Also, you can catch those on playcallsportstalk.com/live. Wednesday nights, Shady Sports Network, Eagles Elite Podcast. You can catch the Eagles Elite Podcast on either one of those platforms. Make sure you subscribe to both. Eagles Elite is a wonderful show. I know it's my show, if I do say so myself, but we talk a lot of things. Eagles, we're into the regular season. We're in the meat and potatoes now. We're talking matchups. We're talking injuries. We're talking breaking news. We're talking who's going to be elevated for the practice squad, who's going to be traded for. If there's that one move that Howie makes every year that I haven't seen yet, if he's going to make that move. Then Thursday, I do Birds Deep, another Eagles show. Just, it's Eagles, man. Somebody asked me to hop on the show and talk Eagles. Why would I say no? You'll catch me on some other round tables. Randomly, you'll see them pop up on my page. But hey, like them, share them, be a part of them. Friday nights before this show, 7:30 p.m. EST, playcollegesportstalk.com/live. Again, Play College Sports Talk Show. Interactive, all about basketball, football. We mix in some of the other sports from time to time as well, but focus a lot on basketball and football. And of course, right back here next week. Hopefully, Chris will be able to join me. We may have some other faces, you never know, but we'll be back. More storylines, more talk about the NFL, and enjoying life.
Yes, sir. You already know.
And with that being said, we are going to end the show. We'll see you back next week.